talk show weekdays, Monday through Friday, 9 to noon. He's a race car driver and a legend in the radio business, Bruce St. James, ladies and gentlemen. We may need some of that tape soon. Set up over here, but you're used to dangerous situations. You drive race cars.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
My mom asks all the time. I grew up in Tucson, and the story, as crazy as it sounds, is my dad literally sat at a bar next to a guy who drove race cars and came home one night. I was 7, 8 years old, and he said, "We're going to the racetrack Saturday night." I didn't even know what a racetrack was. Why? Drink with a guy who drives race cars. And I tell people I've been going to the racetrack every Saturday night since.
Wow.
That's what I do. I just got into it. I got just loved watching it, and you know, I don't know, just a complete lack of self-preservation. Decided that I would go ahead and try and drive it myself, and I've been driving now and racing for about 10 years or so.
I know not too long ago you had a clavicle injury. Is that right?
I broke both collarbones. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. You say clavicle. That's very medical of you. Very good.
Really?
Yeah. I say clavicle, and you get the blank stare from some people. Like collarbones. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, those are important.
Yeah. So I had surgery and all that good stuff.
Was that your worst injury to date?
You know, I've had again, it depends on who you ask. I've had a variety of head injuries, which certainly also can explain a lot. I'm going on concussion 8 or 9. I don't know exactly which one yet.
They're getting notches by the
lost a little vision in one eye, you know. But these things happen, you know. And people get hurt driving up and down the freeway and slip and fall in the shower. So
that's true. We take risks every day, so
exactly.
you embrace that.
Yeah,
you've made it a lifestyle. I
have. I get to do radio Monday through Friday, and then on the weekends I go and race cars.
And what's more dangerous?
They're different. There's different dangers, I guess you would say. There's an intellectual danger, I suppose, to being on the radio every day. But I prefer kind of the thrill. I like the adrenaline thrill of racing. And there is a thrill still to radio, but I can tell you that unlike television, you know, I get to create this world. I don't actually see anybody. I don't. The microphone never talks back to me. The microphone doesn't laugh. As far as everything I say is a riot. You know, I mean, I live in a fantasy world in a radio studio, and so it is. You can insulate yourself from reality, and I think I like that.
You broke into the radio business in Los Angeles, is that right?
I actually started in Tucson. I went Tucson, LA, San Diego, Phoenix.
And you did music radio.
Yeah, I started as a baby DJ, you know, and doing the countdown shows at night and things, and got into management of radio. And so I worked in LA. I worked, I think by looking at me, most people could tell I'm the king of hip hop, because I ran the largest hip hop radio station.
When you walk in, I said, "Bruce, if you pull your pants up." You know.
And I did it, by the way. This is in the '90s in Los Angeles. So this was gangsta rap. This was Ice Cube, Dre, Biggie, Puffy. I mean, that was all that was going on at the time. And we were smack dab in the middle of it.
Oh, Biggie, Puffy, that describes me after a meal. Those were big hip-hop artists.
Yes, I'm led to believe it.
So this year has seen a lot of famous musicians, I mentioned Prince and pop stars, passing away.
Yeah.
Is this impacting you? Or?
Yeah, it is. And it's, I suppose it's generational to some extent, you know. I mean,
Prince, a young guy.
Yeah, but like Elvis passing away didn't have the same impact on me as it maybe it did on my mom and dad. And you know, when you think of Prince passing away, you're like, okay, Prince. Like, hold on a second. Like, was it that long ago? The scary thing is when you start going back, I love that movie Purple Rain. You go, it was when? Oh my God! You know, all of a sudden, like, where did the last 20-something years go?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're kind of in that stage, you know, of life maybe, and you know, being all in roughly the same age when your heroes or the people you grew up with all of a sudden start to pass away. And I met Prince a couple times too, and so for me, working on the music side. Having met some of them, I don't purport to be a friend.
Sure.
You know, I did not,
no basketball games, no pancakes.
No pancakes.
Okay.
No, nothing nearly that exciting. But you know, you feel a certain sense of loss. We lost the music, obviously, and we lost the artist that he was. But I was like, you know, I've been to his house. You know, I sat on his couch. I was like, I feel like I've lost somebody I really did know.
That had to have been a very comfortable couch.
I got to tell you, his living room was unbelievable. Now, I went to I've been to Paisley Park. They did like a record. They played us the music. They bring radio people in. But a few years back, I went to his house in Los Angeles that he was renting in Beverly Hills, and it was one of those weird things where they go, do you want to go to Prince's house and hear him play music? And I was like, is this a trick question? Like, did anybody say no to this? Yeah. And so like 20, 25 people, and like it's very secretive, and we take this shuttle bus up there, and the gates open up, and they have the big Prince logo on it, you know, wow, the symbol, yeah. And we go inside, and I'm sure these people, they've cleared all the furniture out of the living room, and so it's got like chairs and couches and stuff, and then there's a drum set, and there's a microphone stand and a guitar there, and Prince and the band come out, and Sheila E. comes out at one point, and Wendy and Lisa, and I'm like, what are we? And the most amazing thing was we were there for 3 hours. I kid you not, I was standing in Prince's living room watching him sing songs. Never did a Prince song. Not one.
Really?
Not one.
All
he did covers. It was the world's most expensive cover band. He did Bobby Brown's My Prerogative at one point, and better than Bobby Brown ever did. He did Love Roller Coaster from the Ohio Players. People were going nuts. It was amazing. And I mean, the whole time I'm there with I happen to know the guy who ran the record label, and he was just shaking his head, and he goes, why? And he goes, SOB's not going to play one Prince song. He's not going to play one song just to screw me. I brought all these people in the room together, and he refuses to play any of his own music.
But you held your ground. You weren't the guy that was like, 1999!
Yeah, no. Yeah, he didn't take requests, amazingly enough. He commands a lot. I mean, he was diminutive. He was a small guy. He wore these huge heels. But, I mean, he had a presence in a room.
Wow.
Yeah, that was absurd, you know?
Yeah, that's fantastic. When I went to see Bob Dylan, I was yelling, "Lay, lady, lay," from the back of the amphitheater, and he never played it.
Till security.
Yeah, right.
And you escorted out.
Go, dude, go, and they walked me out. Do you think there are any musical artists today that will achieve the legendary status of some of these guys that are leaving us now? Who is this generation's Prince, so that when they unfortunately pass, today's kids are going to be like we are now? And
I don't want to sound like the old fogey, you know, and yell, "Get off my lawn" at some point. But I don't know if we're going to see another Madonna, Prince, Elvis, Beatles. And here's why.
And you know what's crazy too is those three individuals, singular names. You say Elvis, we know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Madonna, Prince.
Well, I think because music has changed, and I think we all consume music very, very differently now. I think music just a generation ago had real value. I would argue today, and it's something a lot of my friends that are artists, I feel bad for them in many ways, that music has no intrinsic value to us. Songs aren't worth anything. They are free everywhere. I can watch it on YouTube. I can download it if I want to pay 99 cents. I can. If not, I can probably get around it. It's good and bad. It's allowed so many people a platform to make music. The difference is there weren't as many people making music before, so there was a few people that could really become big. Nowadays, I mean, think about it this way. You have a band, let me think of a boy band, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, whatever. The minute they start having hits, it's not by coincidence. All of a sudden, there's like 7 other bands out there of 4 to 5 kids. One of them's blonde, one of them's dark hair, and they're singing songs that sound kind of remotely the same, and they kind of cannibalize each other. Nobody can ever really achieve any sort of a status because there's so many people, I think, that sound so similar to them.
Do you think the transparency of their lives, too, is media has grown to include paparazzi footage as like lead news stories? Does that take the mystique away? You're talking about Ozzy Osbourne getting divorced. I mean, in the 70s, he's a rock god. Now, he's kind of a frumpy old man.
Right, and I think there's that when you peel that curtain back, it's really hard to create these bigger than life personas. Like you said, when there is that TMZ video of them in their underwear taking the garbage out. You know, it's like, okay, it's not the same as we used to see from these artists, these huge artists. There's still going to be big artists, you know, I mean, Taylor Swift, and you know, I mean, there's plenty of big artists and bands that make music and sell music. But I think it just the length of the careers and the heights are too far out of reach these days.
Wow. Well, that's the music side. Let's talk about the talk side. I want to be honest, Bruce. I became a fan of yours when you guys covered, I think you and Pamela went down to Tucson the weekend, Gabby Giffords and that whole thing happened.
Yeah.
And the way you guys covered that story was so humane and personal and intimate, yet also very informative and educational that I became a fan immediately.
I really appreciate it.
As we go from that and we get into a more political climate this year, starting last year, right?
When are we not in a political climate?
Yeah, I guess. How do you choose which stories to talk about? There has to be a balance between really meaty political stories and then something a little light and fluffy that helps that go down. And what's your process like in the morning when you look at the wire and you're like, that one, not that one?
They don't have a wire anymore. I hate to break this.
Oh,
back in time. The Cronkite School's right down the street. They would just shudder if they heard you talk about the wire. I'm not going to assume that most people listen to our radio show, but it's probably not what you think it is. And I always have difficulty describing it to people that don't listen. When they think of talk radio, they think of Rush Limbaugh, or they think of all politics, and they take phone calls and argue with people and carry water for a political party, and gosh darn it, that just would bore me to tears. I don't think I could do that all the time. So we have 4 topics an hour is in a 3-hour show, so we'll hit 12 topics. Wow. And so every 15 minutes I move on to something else. And we do try to. Is that the result of a study? That's how long we'll pay attention? No, when they came to me about doing a radio show, I said that's kind of what I wanted to do. I said I wanted to do something where I could talk about a wide variety of things and not be forced to drag things out. So rarely do we ever run out of things to say. We're always, boom, hey, well, leave them wanting more, and we'll move on to the next subject and go from there. We don't take phone calls. We don't. There's just no time for it. It moves so fast. But yeah, the night before, every night before the show, we send my co-host Pamela, my producer James, we all send a chain email, if you will. It's the only chain email I enjoy being on, and that we run over stories that we're interested in talking about. We get together in the morning about an hour and a half before the show, and we just start building it, and what do you come out of the gates with at 9 o'clock? Usually the biggest story of the day. Okay, what are we going to do here? How do we balance that? That hour's got a little too much politics crap in it. Put that over here. Well, we've got too many education stories. Move that over there. And we just kind of try to balance the show in some way, shape, or form.
How has Trump changed the game?
I've been wrong up until now. So, I mean, I'd hate to make any more predictions. I did not think he would get this far. It's a chicken and egg argument, because believe me, I get people all the time who go, if you guys didn't talk about Donald Trump, well then we wouldn't be around so much. And I go, I don't know if it's just us talking about him that's doing it.
Yeah.
And I said, I think the bigger danger is to ignore somebody like that and hope they go away.
What would he say or do to get your attention if you chose to ignore him?
Well, or what could he get away with if you weren't watching and calling him on it? And I think that there's a lot of people out there that are concerned, and I would argue rightfully so. What would a Trump presidency look like, and how terrifying that would be for a lot of folks.
Wow. Do you have any vice presidential candidate predictions?
For Trump?
Yeah.
Tom Rich.
Tom Rich.
Yeah, former governor of Pennsylvania, was former head of whatever they call it these days, the security apparatus, so that he can have a guy who's a Washington guy and looks good in the blue suit, and he's been there and done that, and he's got the foreign policy security stuff, so Trump can go off and be a celebrity entertainer.
Nice.
And Tom Rich can actually do it. Hillary, I think it'll be a little tougher. You keep hearing Castro from the mayor of San Antonio, if I remember correctly.
Oh, wow.
And a young Latino, up and coming. I worry that he might be too young, though, because I mean, you technically are a heartbeat away from the presidency. I don't know if people necessarily. I mean, Sarah Palin made us look at it completely differently. I'm like, wait a minute, that's a heartbeat away. I think she. Listen, she's in the lead, but she needs to pad her lead, I think. And
stop padding your shoulders, Hillary, and pad your lead.
Well, I think that you have two flawed candidates. I'm not a supporter necessarily.
Where's the third party? Where's the rise of the third party candidate?
And I'm a third party kind of guy. You know,
Ross Perot Jr.
I wish we had 3, 4, 5, 6. I wish we had 8 parties. I wish people could vote. I cannot bring myself to vote against people. No party owns my vote. They don't deserve it. I vote for things, and if I can't find something to vote for, I don't vote. I make no bones about that. You know, I certainly have much more libertarian kind of political views, so I tend to go that direction. But I would hope people would look at it. You know, there's nothing in the Constitution of the United States that says Republican and Democrat. There's nothing that says 2 parties. There's nothing that says you can't vote for somebody else.
Wow. Okay, this got heavy.
No, I'm sorry.
Let's lighten it up a little bit.
Oh, God.
The last time I saw you, actually, you don't know I saw you. That sounds creepy, but my girlfriend
Now it really got creepy.
Yeah. How's the stability of that couch? My girlfriend and I were in line to see an advanced screening of The Jungle Book, and we were 5 people away before they had to cut us off. We didn't make it in. We got there late. But you strolled right to the front of the line, showed a little VIP pass or something. Maybe it was just a 20. I don't know what you did, but you got right in. I know you get to see the movie Advances, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I'm a member of the Phoenix Film Critics Society and the Phoenix Critics Circle. So I get to, well, people say, oh, it's so cool, you get to go see all the movies. I remind people, I get to go see all the bad ones. Keep in mind, and I can't get up and march out. I have to sit through 2 hours of horrific films at sometimes. So, yeah, I see about 120, 130 movies a year.
Wow, that's like 2 a week.
Yeah, roughly, is what it works out to be. And, I mean, it's, you know, I like movies anyway. I do the reviews for the radio station and get to talk about them, and I think it keeps you in touch with a little bit of pop culture from that time.
So we didn't get to see Jungle Book. We haven't seen it yet.
You should go see it.
Does the kid die?
Well, it is a Disney film, and that means parents die.
Parents die.
Without losing a parent, and as a matter of fact, you lose 2 in this one.
Whoa!
Yeah,
wow.
You lose a biological and a adopted. It's amazing. I always feel the need, like I have to tell people that. My co-host on the show, Pamela, she has a 6-year-old daughter. And she'll say, did you go see Jungle Book? How many parents die in it? She goes, I just don't like to have to explain it to a 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 6-year-old. Like, well, what happens when Daddy floats down the river? You know, I'm like, oh, here we go. So, but
there's a waterfall at the end of that river.
It is. Jungle Book was an amazing film. If anybody who saw it, you walk away from it, you're like, you have to kind of shake yourself and go, you know, the boy was the only thing real in that whole movie. Everything else was animation. And it's amazing what they can do these days. Like, it just seems like leaps and bounds at what they're doing with film. So,
what's the summer blockbuster you're most looking forward to?
Oh boy.
Anything on your radar?
I can't tell you, and I don't know if this is good, bad, or in the middle, because I'm not a professional movie reviewer. Well, I'm not a professional at anything.
What do you see over 100 movies a year? I think you adopt the title.
Listen, we're talking about radio, we're talking about racing, we're talking about movies. These are arguably 3 things I know the least about. So, but I don't watch trailers. So I go see a lot of movies, and I literally don't know what I'm about to see. I walk into them completely blind, and that can be really good or really bad.
Sure.
The only thing I ask is no horror movies. I will not see horror movies. I have Wizard of Oz is the last scary movie I ever saw, and I have no desire to see scary movies. I have difficult enough sleeping. So I don't see scary movies. But everything else, I kind of walk in and go, oh, see what this is about.
So what was the movie that surprised you the most? You knew the title, you went in, that was not what you expected, and one way or the other, it stayed with you.
Wow. You know, and you know, we're kind of halfway through the year. I haven't really started putting like my list, if you will, together. But there's always these kind of magical movies that kind of pop out. I saw one recently called Sing Street, which was just a wonderful movie, and it had a musical background to it, and it was a smaller film about a kid trying to impress a girl, you know, and went up to her and...
The biopic.
Yeah. Well, it was set in the 80s, and he went up to her and said music videos were coming out.
Sure.
He just saw a Duran music video, and they had girls in it. So he said, you want to be in my music video for my band? And she said, yeah, okay, I'll do that. And he walked away and he goes, now I got to start a band. And so the movie is the kid puts a band together.
It's like a John Hughes movie.
And it's Irish, it's in Dublin, and it's just magical because every time his older brother gives him an album, he changes his look. So he gives him a Cure album, and the kid's got black hair, and he's so sullen, and he gives him a Depeche Mode album. Comes in dressed like Damon Gahan. It's just amazing. Every time he got a different, you look like Dexy's Midnight Runners. It was just perfect, and it was fun, and there was good music in it. And again, I had no idea what I was going to go see. All I knew was the title.
That's cool. What you think about Captain America?
I thought that was one of the better movies of the year, honestly. I thought
really
Captain
good.
America, and I got to see it in IMAX 3D up on that huge screen at Arizona Mills.
Oh yeah.
And it's one of those, that's not always worth paying extra money for some of those.
Sure.
But that's one of the ones it really jumps
Charge
out
of the Penguins there was.
Yeah, I don't think you need to see that in IMAX 3D. Right. Pay the extra bucks.
They're there and they're over.
They're still penguins. It never changed once.
I've never seen a penguin movie that I felt like I just want to touch the penguin in 3D.
Have you ever seen? I'm sure you have met plenty to do, so you just cut me off at some point. But
well, okay, Bruce, thanks a lot for
coming. There you go. Actually,
I
I saw a movie that this morning. I saw the Angry Birds movie.
Oh, okay.
I know. I had a lot of jealousy I'm getting. But it's in 3D, and it's so. I can't get over. It's so cute to see little kids see their first 3D movie because you literally will look out and the kids are reaching out and I'm like, I don't. Every time I get it, I go, I hate 3D movies. I hate wearing those glasses. They hurt my ears. I'm like, I just love watching little kids oh my God, what's coming at us?
That's awesome. I see enough Angry Birds when I drive on the freeway. So
There is that.
Bruce, thank you so much for being here as my first guest for the 3rd episode. People can hear the Bruce and Pamela show on KTAR 92.3 FM Monday through Friday, 9 to noon.
Yeah, you've got it all in there.
Cool. Okay, you stick around, or do you have a KTAR KFI softball game?
I should be so lucky. Yeah. Can I stick around?
Absolutely.
I'm going to stick around.
Bruce St. James, everybody.